Welcome everyone to Inclusion Matters. Today we are addressing how to support learners with chronic illnesses and difficult life circumstances. Joining us are Ms. Shaina, expert on allergies and inclusive practices, Mr. Jinri, expert on chronic illnesses, and Ms. Raphael, expert on learners in difficult circumstances. Welcome, experts. Now, moving on, Mr. Jinri, can you give us an overview of some common chronic illnesses and how they affect learners?
Certainly. Asthma, diabetes, and epilepsy are common. Asthma can cause breathing difficulties and absences. Diabetes requires careful blood sugar management, affecting energy and focus. Epilepsy can lead to seizures, causing anxiety and potential learning disruptions. The most important thing to note is that each student will have unique challenges that they face.
So, Mr. Jinri, what key exclusive strategies can teacher employs?
For asthma, accessible inhalers and a trigger-free environment are vital. For diabetes, allow snack breaks and be aware of hypoglycemia symptoms. For epilepsy, ensure a safe environment during seizures and educate classmates on how to respond calmly.
Thank you for that, Mr. Jinri. Moving on, Ms. Shaina, allergies are another common concern. How can school create an allergy-safe environment?
Awareness is key. Know the specific allergies affecting students and ensure an allergy free environment. Have an accessible EpiPen and trained staff. Foster peer empathy to prevent teasing. Then, understanding medical and psychological as well as social aspects is important, and using observation checklists.
So, Ms. Shaina, how does this connect to broader inclusive practices?
Addressing learners in difficult circumstances involves trauma informed classrooms, home based learning, and community outreach. Also, apply Universal Design for Learning or UDL, collaborative learning, and culturally responsive pedagogy.
So thank you for that, Ms. Shaina. Now let's move on to Ms. Raphael. Let's discuss learners in difficult circumstances. What are some major categories and their specific challenges?
So these include learners in remote places, victims of war, and those from broken or impoverished families, victims of abuse, and indigenous groups. So each of these category faces unique barriers to education.
So, Ms. Raphael, can you elaborate on inclusive strategies for each?
Of course, remote learners need flexible options and localized materials. War victims need trauma support and catch up programs. Impoverished learners need feeding programs and scholarships. Abuse victims need trusting relationships and reporting to authorities. While indigenous learners need culturally responsive teaching and community partnerships.
So, thank you for that, Ms. Raphael. Now, how do we integrate support for learners facing multiple challenges? Mr. Jenry.
Well, the first step is knowing what these challenges are. Build rapport to these learners, provide patience, and collaborate with family.
Exactly. Recognize that a learner might experience chronic illness and difficult circumstances. A holistic, collaborative approach is vital.
So, experts, what key qualities must teachers possess to support these learners effectively?
Well, the most important thing is a empathy and flexibility. A willingness to adapt and learn about each student's individual needs are critical.
Also important is be proactive to avoid triggers or challenges.
And also be culturally sensitive by understanding the diverse backgrounds of students and building trust. Be an advocate of compassion and inclusion.
Okay, so based on our experts' words, it's about understanding and meeting individual needs. Now, experts, let's share some practical tips. Mr. Junri, what advice do you have for teachers with students with asthma?
Keep the inhaler accessible. Educate the students on what triggers the student's asthma and make sure that the classroom and other students are aware of the asthma so they can help the student when needed.
How about you, Mashaina? How can you help teachers with students that have allergy?
Yes, it's important to provide an allergy free environment to prevent any allergic reactions.
Thank you for that. How about you, Miss Raphael, for students that are member of an indigenous community?
Well, I think Rafael's not around, so I will give the example for that. So, engage indigenous community leaders in curriculum planning and celebrate their culture.
So thank you for that, Mr. Junri. Thank you for saving Miss Rara. And before we wrap it up, let's dive a little deeper. Beyond academics, emotional well-being is often overlooked for learners with chronic illnesses or in difficult situations. How can teachers support their mental health inside the classroom?
Yes, schools should establish awareness campaigns that educate both the teachers and students about inclusivity. It starts with information, knowing what these learners go through and how small actions can make a big difference. Also, in conducting orientations, training, and seminars to ensure preparedness. Lastly, is to make inclusion part of the school's vision, not just an occasional activity.
So that was very insightful, Miss Shaina. Sometimes teacher. So how about you, Mr. Junri?
Um, Teachers can start by creating a safe, judgment free space where learners feel seen and valued. Simple gestures like greeting them warmly or asking how they're doing can build trust and comfort. Integrating mindfulness, activeness, or reflection time during classes can also help calm anxious learners. Above all learners our teachers must be sensitive to behavioral signs of distress and refer them to guidance counselors when needed.
Yes, that is very important, Mr. Jinri. Now, um, experts, what can schools do to strengthen teacher training programs on inclusivity and special learning needs?
Yes, teacher education must include real life simulations and exposure to inclusive classrooms. Workshops on health awareness, child psychology, and crisis response can prepare teachers better. Then schools should also encourage mentoring systems where experienced teachers guide new ones. Then the more confident teachers are, the more effective they become in handling diverse learners.
Yes, that is very insightful, Ms. Shaina. Sometimes teachers feel overwhelmed by the emotional load of handling learners with chronic conditions or trauma. What advice can you offer them to maintain balance?
Yes.
Experts?
Yes, I envision schools where no learners feel left behind, where allergies, illnesses, or personal struggles never define a student's potential.
Thank you once again to our wonderful experts, Ms. Shaina, Mr. Junri, and Ms. Rara, for sharing your insights, and to our viewers. May we all continue to be advocates of inclusion, empathy, and understanding. By emphasizing compassion and adaptability, we ensure no learners are left behind. This has been Inclusion Matters, supporting learners with chronic illnesses and difficult circumstances. Until next time, keep making inclusion happen one learner at a time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
you.